Okay, yay, we're live. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast, The Universe and Me. This is your host, Miss Jaleisha J. I am so grateful and thankful that you guys are tuning in. If you're on YouTube right now, if you're on the Facebook, thank you. Make sure you drop your names and your comments in the chat so we can go ahead and congregate with each other. Okay. But first, I'm so excited because this episode, I saw this author right here. I saw her book on Facebook, and I just saw the title. I just saw the title, which we're gonna dive into. With the title said, "Lord, I don't want to die a Christian." And I just saw the title, and I was like, "Okay, I have to talk to her because I've been in my own journey with God on my understanding." And I've come from a Christian background, and so I've navigated away from the Christian background, but I'm so intrigued by other realms of spiritual knowledge and spiritual awareness and everyone else's journey of how they come to know the God of their understanding.
Amen.
So this is going to be a good talk. I'm really excited about it because we are open minded here and we celebrate individuality, we celebrate spirituality, we celebrate just knowing of self and whatever that looks like for you. So this is going to be a good conversation. So I want to welcome the best-selling author Chandrika D.
It's good to be here, girlie. It's good to be here, Jaleisha.
Thank you for sharing your energy and being here with us and your knowledge.
Yes.
I had to take these
Yes.
off because my glasses are kind of fuzzy.
Okay.
So we're talking about the book. So this is all about what is your relationship with God. That's what this episode is about. And so I
Yes.
want to just dive in and have everyone tell everyone what you do, and then how did you get to the venture of your book?
Well, currently I am a staff member or support staff for Muskogee County School District here in Columbus, Georgia. I authored the award-winning, um, best-selling book, Lord, I Don't Want to Die a Christian. It's my journal and journal to freedom. I love the outdoors, so I do initiate um, and curate outdoor experiences for Black women. Um, I am kind of walking out the journey of starting a nonprofit called Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls to eventually mentor middle school Black girls. Um, what else do I do? Right now, that's all I can think of. I'm sure I do
Girl,
more.
girl, what you doing it right now? That's a lot. That's enough. We thank you for that, showing up for the Black community because we need more representation as much as possible, especially
Yes.
mentoring or helping our youth. So yes,
Hmm.
thank you for being who you are. So I want to get into this book. So you said
Yes.
it's your journal. It was your journal. It's your journal, pretty much of
So the
freedom.
subtitle is called My Journal and Journey to Freedom.
Mm. So,
So I just I had the opportunity to go and live in China for 2 years. I went to China, as I love to share, to change China, and
mhm.
China changed me. And of course, while I was there, I was documenting my journey. And when I came back, though, unbeknownst to me, there was more to document. Um, I had evolved, I had changed, and that was being revealed to me over time.
Mm.
The change that had happened to me in China, and so I began to document it. Uh, after hearing that title, the title kind of just came out of my exhale. I was
Mm.
frustrated with how our white evangelical brothers and sisters were embracing or not embracing um, the notion of having a black president. Um, but I was also trying to uh, adjust again to Western religion, um, black church, uh, the black expression of Christianity called Pentecostalism.
Mhm.
I was trying to go back to what I had always grown in, and between the two of them, not feeling claustrophobic by that, and frustrated by the racism coming out of white evangelical Christians, I exhaled one day, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. And I think in my next step, I said out of my mouth, "That's a book title." I said, "That's a book." And the next step was, I wasn't planning on writing a book. Turns out, all of the documentation that I had been keeping while in China, a bit of a diary. As I would send emails back home, I was saving those emails about my experience.
Mm,
That's kind of where I felt led to start, by sharing that, and it shows kind of an evolution. How I went there as a traditional Christian,
mm,
going to save China, and over time, I just continue to evolve out of um, those kinds of ideas.
mm.
And I document um, questions that continue to feed that evolution.
Ooh, ooh. It's a game changer when you go to another country and you
Hmm.
experience their culture and the way that they see God and the way that they live their lives,
Hmm.
and you see the difference between the way we've been raised, the way
Right,
what we've been surrounded with. So for me, it sounds like you kind of almost had like your own awakening when you
right.
went there, pretty much, and then coming back, it still was going on.
Yeah,
You were still coming through, and changes were still happening.
right. I think, the interesting thing is as much as I may have been awakening, I
Hmm.
wasn't aware of it until I came back to the States.
Hmm.
Um, People can be sleepwalking.
Yeah, yeah, you
That's
ain't lying.
that's good. You know what I mean? So, as much as I was being awakened, it wasn't until I got back to the States and I tried to go back to what I always knew and realized something's different about me. You know,
Hmm.
I'm not happy with this anymore. This is not
Hmm.
enough for me anymore. So, um, that kind of became one of the. We can talk about that later, but kind of became one of the reasons I became a triathlete and started going outside and I bought a bike because I couldn't breathe in church anymore.
Mm. I know
Yeah,
that feeling. I know that feeling
yeah.
because you feel disconnected in a way. Like this
Hmm.
is no longer feeding my spirit the way it needs to, or the way it used to.
Well, and you know what I discovered is that my spirit didn't need to be fed.
Ooh,
What I discovered is that I wasn't hungry. Yeah.
whoa, whoa! You dropping something right now. Oh goodness.
You know what I mean? It just but being away from all of this, where being away from the message that we are hungry and desperate
Mm,
for God, being away from that for 2 years is what made me realize that is a message to keep me coming back, but it's not how God sees me.
mm,
Yeah. So I'm not hungry. I'm not, I mean, I was a worship leader before I left to go to China. So I was singing, I'm desperate for you, and I'm lost without you. I was singing the songs, and it's the message uh of Christianity that I think keeps people returning. The message
mm,
of God is getting ready to do it, and God is going to do it, and God is
mhm,
about to do it. And so
mhm,
you keep coming back because God is always about to,
mhm,
um,
mhm.
versus living in or living with or accepting or embracing the idea uh, that you're complete and that you lack nothing.
Ooh,
But
ooh.
I'm gonna tell you though, as much as if you embrace that, that comes with responsibility.
Yes. Major responsibility.
Mhm.
Major responsibility, and also it comes with separation from I feel like on my own journey, it comes separation from what you've been taught, what you've been knowing, and
Well,
also go
right.
ahead, go
It comes from that separation. I thought you were gonna say, and from the people.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's what I was about to
yeah.
say. Yes, the people, yes.
So it's easier to it to believe that God is about to do, and that you're thirsty and that you're hungry. It's
Mhm.
easier to believe that than to believe you're complete, because the
Mhm.
responsibility weighs more,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So,
It I for me it was almost like I kind of had like a light bulb moment where I was like, we kind of been listening to the same thing
mhm,
over and over, and we're waiting, and we're like seeking this, we're seeking, and I think it's leading us more away from who we are, like our real truth. Everything for me, everything
mhm,
lies within me, and
mhm,
that I
mhm.
don't have to keep, okay, where else, like, okay, when's it coming,
Right,
when's
right.
it, and the church inhibited me in that way of making me wanting
Yes,
to keep coming back, keep, okay,
right.
this time is going to be different, this time the change is coming, this time the, and I was like, well, I've been doing this for about 30 some years,
When
and
is it coming?
yeah, when is it going to happen?
I,
When is it going to happen?
I think of two places in my book that I write about,
Mm-hmm,
referencing your sentiment.
mm-hmm,
One is that the church didn't. I write that Christianity, or people who would read my book, read the title at least, would think that the church hurt me. That's why, or
mm-hmm,
Christianity hurt me, and that's why I said I want to die a Christian. And I say Christianity didn't hurt me, but it did hold me back. It
mm-hmm,
hindered me. You said a few minutes ago that it kept you from the experience,
mm-hmm,
not just the belief, but the experience,
mm-hmm,
um, that of life that comes with believing one is complete.
mm-hmm. That
I'm
part.
telling you, I didn't start initiating these experiences for Black women until I came into the idea of being complete, whole,
Mm,
lacking nothing. Well, if I
mm,
if that idea is true, and even if it isn't, because the energy of belief is given to the idea, it becomes my experience.
ooh,
So now what am I to do? Sunday mornings don't matter to me no more. You know what I mean? What am I to do now? And so I started figuring out and creating community outside of what I had experienced all my life. The other thing, um, you said you said something that reminded me of that, and girl, I forgot.
it's okay. It's okay. If
No,
it comes back, it flows.
right.
I was gonna say, Chandrika, with you coming out with your book, and you kind of, and because the title is so, I'm gonna say, so blunt. So yes, people
Mhm.
can interpret that as like, oh goodness, what is this? Like, have their own ideas and perceptions of what that is. But for you, once you published the book and you put it out there, was there like a, how was the friendship and the family response to that? Because
That's a
there's
great
a shift.
question. I'll tell you, I try not to speak for my family.
Mm-hmm.
I am a pastor's kid.
Mm.
My parents are pastors. They were, as far as I know, preachers when I came out of the womb. Um, and I'm the oldest of four girls. Um, I can answer the question this way. What I knew for sure was that my sisters weren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
I was not sure about anybody else. Um, and I can also answer the question in that I still communicate with my parents. I can say that much.
Mm.
Um, Friends, they have dropped off slowly. Some would, I think, use other reasons to drop off, but I
Mhm.
think the root of it is, me making this announcement when they are definitely sold out to Christianity.
I understand it. I understand that for when I shifted out of Christianity, it was a slow burn for me because I was so nervous and so apprehensive about, how is this going to affect like my relationship with my family. How is my family
Mhm.
gonna see me? And my mama always was the one. We going to church on Sunday. Hey, you
Mhm.
went to church yet? You went to Bible study? You going? And I completely shut everything down. I said,
Mhm.
no, I'm not doing anything else. And then I felt like I had to keep trying to defend myself and speak up
Mhm.
for myself. And I was like, I don't have to do that. And
No.
I and I had to come to a place where I understood that. And even with friends, I saw people separating because they were like, we don't know what you doing. We don't understand what this is.
Mhm.
But then I've what I found though, been on this journey that a lot of times they circle back, the friends, the family, when they
Mhm.
see how much it's not, it's just the idealization of people have of what it's supposed to look like. But doesn't mean that I'm separate from God, or I don't know who God is, and I don't have a connection with him, but I have my own understanding in my own
Right.
relationship.
Right.
And I feel that when they see that, hopefully sometimes they don't come back, but sometimes they do circulate back a little bit because they see you being, you're walking your own path.
Mhm.
You're doing your own thing, and it's not, it's just something different. It's just a different type of flow when you are, for me personally, seeing others that are walking in their divinity. That's why I
Mhm.
look at it as you're walking in your divinity. You
Right.
putting the book out there is walking in your divinity.
I agree.
And let me just ask you, when others read your book or read your journal, what are you hoping for them to gather from that?
To walk in theirs, to be
Mm,
free, to uh to really have a personal experience as it relates to spirituality.
mm.
I write about that. I write that Christianity sells us the idea of a personal relationship with God, but really don't mean it.
Ah, girl, yes. Christianity is if we really want to be technical, Christianity, it's been placed upon us because this is what we came in. We came over here as slaves, right? As
Hmm.
black
Hmm.
slaves, and that's what was
Enslaved, yeah.
yeah, enslaved, and
Hmm.
that was pressed upon us. And so we have been taught. It's just been hand down from generation to generation that our whole beings is in Christianity, is in the church, when
Hmm.
really everything that we really need is actually outside of that. I truly believe it's within us, but we
Hmm.
have to tap into that ourselves. We have to know that that's actually a possibility. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of fear, and I'm gonna say in the black church, there's a
Hmm.
lot of fear in the black church because if you
Hmm.
see something that is different, or you see something that is not what you
That you
grew
don't
up, you
understand.
don't understand. You think it's, oh, this is taboo or something wrong
Right.
with you. This is, and instead of being open minded, but what I find is that younger generations are probably more open to this as far as stepping out and questioning and being more like just wanting to explore, because you find that there is more to life than just Christianity. You go to another country like you did. You go to another
Yeah.
country, they experience God in a totally different way. You
Right.
go,
I mean, they, and not just that, you know, they see spirituality differently in that they
well,
label it differently.
they live differently. Like it's a
Right.
different type of living.
Yes. Yes. It and you know, it's just there was just a lot. It wasn't a lot that one could do about it,
Mm,
rather than learn. I
mhm,
mean, I offered that I went to China, um, and that is where my curiosity inhaled,
mm,
but then exhaled here in the States. And you know, this is evidence. This book behind
mhm.
me. Um, you know, and when you're curious, there's not just a lot you can offer. All you have to do is learn.
Yes.
You know, um, I did lead a Bible study for 7 college students. I did that for 2 years. um I didn't initiate it. I did, but um in response to them and their curiosity about me, and I didn't know what else to offer to them. But what I've been born with, you know, what I've been born into. um Otherwise, you know, when you see how people live, you know, even with the grocery stores, Walmart, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the what is Chinese restaurants over there that's not really Chinese over here. There's so many reasons to shut up and ask questions or learn and be curious.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
it's not a lot of time to ask, do you know Jesus? And I was there 2 years. It's so much to learn.
Yes,
We had,
yes.
we had we had to take a trip every month. You know,
Mhm,
so we were at Shaolin Temple, and I went to the Great Wall. I mean, what can you offer people? What track can you pass out when you're standing on the Great Wall? When you're at Shaolin Temple, and all of these boys are being trained, and
mm,
what can you offer?
mm.
There's nothing to do but to learn. And
Learn.
and I think that we have to understand that that there are cultures all over the place. Not just
Mhm,
There's not just a U.S. culture. There's not just a Mexican culture. There's not just a African culture. There's culture in the homes of people. You know, culture exists everywhere. There's culture at work, and so we've got to position ourselves to be curious, and not to know so much.
mm,
You know, I know the right way, and I know the way, and the only way is mm-mm.
mm-mm.
Hush and ask questions.
Yes.
But you can't if you know everything.
Can't ask anything. You can't learn anything, and you'll stay
No.
stuck. You'll stay
Yes.
stuck. You'll stay stagnant.
Yes.
And I'm gonna speak for the Black community. I think a lot of us, as far as in the U.S., we are comfortable,
Hmm.
and I love to hear about others exploring. I went to Rome, I think a few months ago, and I that was my first time going out of the country by myself. And
Yes.
the way they live, because predominantly there they do Catholic, but that's just not the way that they. It's like you said, they don't go around saying Jesus, Mary Joseph.
Right.
It's just more so the way they carry themselves. They're very
Hmm.
present. They're very
Hmm.
much everything kind of slows down. Like
Hmm.
it felt like things were going in slow motion, almost like they
Hmm.
weren't in a rush to do a lot of things. They're very present when they ate. They're all really in good health, but they're eating pasta all the time and drinking
Hmm.
wine. But that's
Hmm.
because everything is more fresh over there. It's not as processed, and so it's just a different way of living and being. And
Hmm.
when I came back to the States, I'm like, we just like this, and we're always like we don't. I don't. For me personally, I feel like we're not as present.
Hmm.
We're not seeking answers. We're not trying to seek more knowledge. We just are okay with what's given to us. Here you go.
Yes.
This way
Yes.
it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's what you need to do. This how
Right.
you do it. Period.
Hmm.
And that's just
Period.
not the case. That's just not
Hmm.
what it's supposed to be. So to be different, to step outside of the box and start having questions, start researching, start plugging in for more answers. I mean, that's how you really gain power. That's how
Right.
you really, really come into the truth of who you are.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because can't nobody.
Or or can I say it differently?
Yeah.
Coming to the truth of who you aren't.
Woo, that too. That too. Because you
So
learn. Yes, yes.
for me, you know what I mean? So for me, it became, I started learning this is not who God sees me as. You know,
Mm,
I love the idea uh that is shared in Jeremiah in the scripture where he says, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you.
mhm.
I just don't think that God knew me as a Christian. But then that made me ask, well, if you didn't know me as a Christian, who was I? Who did you know
Mm,
me to be?
mm.
And then you start to press into, seeking for the answers to that, which means you start taking off. I'm that. No, you don't see me as that. No, I don't believe you see me as that. And before you know it, who you are is revealed. Like you don't even have to find it. It just is. You know what I mean? After you've
Right
taken
there.
off all of the what I call fig leaves,
Mhm.
after you've taken all of that off, you know, um, who you were before you were here is revealed.
Ooh,
So you go through a process of stripping.
stripping.
So
Yeah.
you don't have to become, you just have to be present to see who you've always been.
Mhm. I love that, Chandrika. One of my
Mhm.
friends say you just have to be. You just have to. She
That's
always
it.
tells me. She always tells me you just have
Just
to
be.
be. You just have to
Just be.
be. Yes,
Yeah.
and it requires stripping away the layers, stripping
Hmm.
away the programming, stripping away what you've been told to be truth,
Yes.
and then finding out what that truth is for you or what the truth isn't for you, which can
Yes.
be a rude awakening.
Right.
But I'm telling you, it's the most freeing thing because you're not no longer living. It's for me, it was like I wasn't living for other people anymore or living for what my parents may have thought was okay or acceptable or
Hmm.
what I thought was the right way for me to understand what spirituality was. I'm living for
Hmm.
me now. It's
Yes.
actually, this is truly who I am.
Hmm.
uh, and that's not going to fit well for everybody, but it fits well for me.
Amen.
And I wanted to ask you, Chandrika, as far as with moving forward with the book and journaling, do you find yourself wanting, like, because when did you release this book? Let me just ask.
Uh, Year before last,
You before.
November.
Okay. And so before you actually wrote it, I know you said it was your journal, and you went to China for 2 years. How long did it take you to go through the process of actually putting this out there?
You mean after it was finished? After
Mhm.
I don't know how long it took. I presented it to. I tried to go through or find an African American, Black, African, anybody, brown publisher, and they wouldn't touch it.
Ooh.
They wouldn't touch it. And one of my friends who uh, was in China with me, she wrote a book, and so I asked her to, present the idea to her publisher, and immediately, same day, send me a manuscript. Let's talk. Same day.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. It has won 3 awards. Um, it has gone international.
Yes.
I have had international speaking opportunities and continue to enjoy those opportunities and want to seek to enjoy more. But yeah, it's done more than I mean, it was a bestseller in the first week of its release. It was number one
Wow.
and number two for a month
Wow.
in my category. It literally, the paperback and the hardback were competing with each other for a good month for
Wow.
the first and second spot in new releases.
Girl, congratulations. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness. That
Thank
is
you. Never,
amazing.
never did I think. I wish I could turn my camera around, but on my wall in front of me, um, my sister sent me a metal rack that says swim, bike, run. She told me, she said, the only thing you have to do is fill up the hooks. I did that in a year. Never did I think I would have a medal for a book
Wow.
on that rack. Never. Didn't even know. I just had no idea. I literally was writing at the unction of or by inspiration. I just um, felt like there had to be other people um, who had the questions I have.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so I offer, I'm ordained. I have a degree in biblical studies. Um, I have tons of ministry experience. And I realized I still have questions about a lot of what I pushed, a lot of what I preached. And I felt like it can't be just me.
No.
So I wrote out my questions. I share some resolves, and sometimes I just share the question. One of the chapters in my book is, I don't remember the name of it, but the question is, if hell is real, why wasn't it created, or why isn't it listed amongst the things created in the beginning? And that's all that's on the page.
Oh
I don't I
Lord.
don't I don't offer anything else. Why?
And these.
Because years ago I asked that question on social media, and
Mhm.
the response was unbelievable.
I bet.
It was unbelievable because the response came from Christianity. A lot of
Mhm.
Christians, and And I know what Christianity teaches, and I could not understand why people were saying because it was created after the fall. Well, are y'all reading y'all Bibles? Like, what are they teaching y'all at church? Because God is supposedly all knowing.
Yes.
So you telling me that God is reactive rather than proactive?
Mm. Mm.
John, as Christianity teaches, wrote Revelation. And in the book of Revelation, there's a scripture that says that Jesus, or the Lamb, Christianity teaches that Jesus is the Lamb, was slain before the foundation of the world. So that would mean that all of this was planned.
Mm.
That God knew to put a tree in the garden, create man, and I write
Mm.
about this, create man, tell him or her or them that they can't eat of the tree, knowing that they would eat of the tree so that they could be fallen, then God could then become the hero in the story. So this is what y'all preaching. So how
Mhm.
is it that God did not know man was going to fall if he knew he was going to be Jesus who would be slain before the world was even formed? Come on, y'all.
It it's really hard to even question. Like what you're saying is to question it because
I'm saying to ask questions.
ask questions
Right.
because if you are saying God is all knowing, yes, it would
Yeah.
you would think, okay, how is that? How is this possible? But but that's just not normal behavior to
I mean,
question.
if to and I had to and I'm only saying to ask questions because particularly for us in African American families and culture, uh, to 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 engage our intelligence in such a way
Mm,
would be labeled to question God.
yes.
So I've tried to reintroduce the idea. Lord, help me find it real quick. Uh, uh, I it's 247 called "Don't Question God."
Hmm.
Page 247. I'll read it real quick. It's real short. I wrote this on May 26, 2020. There can be no covenant where there is no communion. No communion where there is no conversation. No conversation where there is no question, where there are no questions.
Mm,
And there can be no questions where curiosity does not exist. And I wrote PS December 31st, 2020. Months later, I was meditating on this again and I wrote this. Christianity points us to an opportunity called covenant relationship with God. While it, in large part, admonishes us to abandon curiosity by discarding our questions. But if one were seeking to locate the pulse of my relationship, questions asked of God would offer thriving as the diagnosis of our agreement, i.e.,
mm.
covenant. I am not questioning God. I am asking God questions.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
love.
wanted when we were growing up, to ask our parents questions in response to instructions or sometimes just asking them questions, period, was disrespectful.
Yes.
You don't question me. And in our culture, you know, until we came into some kind of knowledge of a relationship with God, our parents were God.
Yes.
So to question them was to question God. So to
Mhm.
ask God questions is to question God.
Mhm.
And it's all disrespectful.
It is very
So
all of it's disrespect.
right.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I've redefined it. I'm not questioning God. I'm asking God questions.
Mm.
See, those are two different tones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now you can't use that against me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Let me ask you just one more question, Chandrika, because it's been amazing. Oh my goodness, you've been like
I'm
dropping
not.
gems, and
I'm not in a hurry. Go
and
ahead.
I'm like, and I'm like, everybody, I better grab this book, grab this journal, so that you can explore yourselves as well. But I was gonna ask you, as far as what would you define, I guess, spirituality means to you at this point in your life?
Spirituality for me is to engage the part of myself that lives or exists beyond my physical body, my physical location.
Mm,
It is to believe. I think and I think what I should offer it is that it is to believe. One has to believe that we exist beyond this body in the first place.
mm-hmm,
You don't have to believe that, you know. But if you believe that you exist, that you're spirit first, it is to to make a play date. It is to you know to join um, your mind and thoughts with the idea of existing beyond this world.
mm,
It is prayer. It is um, you know it is not speaking for a day for me. It is playing in nature.
mm,
It's swimming for me.
mm, mm,
Um, it's hiking. It's uh, riding my bike and experiencing the wind on my skin. It's sitting in the sun.
mm,
It is standing in the rain.
mm,
Um, it's being present enough to see the leaves change.
yes.
It's walking in the grass with no shoes on. Um, it's all those things. It's freedom. But I think one has to believe that you exist beyond this world. And if believing that you exist beyond this world makes life better for you here,
Mm,
then believe that,
mm,
whether it's true or not. If it makes you better, if it makes you enjoy life better, if it brings, if it's that's how you experience peace,
mm,
then believe it. I have this question I've been entertaining, I don't know, for the last 2 years. What is more powerful, the existence of God or my belief in God? Because God can exist all day long, but I won't experience God and my ideas of God if there would no belief, if the energy of believing did not exist.
mm,
So which one is
mm,
more powerful?
That's
Because
good.
because you can believe in God. You can believe in God. That's number one. That's one
Mhm,
layer of belief.
mhm,
But then what do you believe about God? So if you believe God to be a, a God of war and hate, then that will be your experience of life.
yes, I
If you
agree.
believe God to be love and God to be peace, and you direct that energy of believing in the direction of your beliefs of God, then that's what you will experience.
Mm,
So, in having to ask questions again about what I believe, I had to decide what it is I believe about God. I'd start
mhm,
there first. Do I believe God exists? If I do, why? And then what do I believe about God? I had to start asking myself all those questions all over again.
self-discovery.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And
got
then, but yeah, I say this all the time. There is room in this world for all kinds of beliefs. There's room for it,
yes.
but there's also room for the consequence of said beliefs. And by
Mm,
consequence, I don't mean you're going to get in trouble. I mean, after you've come to a resolve, there's going to be a sequence of events that follow the resolve. So after when you come to, Lord, is my computer about to die? If when you come to a certain belief,
Mm-hmm.
then there's going to be a consequence that follows. So
Yes.
just as much as there's room for all kinds of beliefs, there's room for the consequence of said beliefs.
Mm. That absolutely. There's a law that says there's always a cause and act, like cause and effect. So anytime
Hmm.
that you do something or you believe something, there's always going to be outcome of that. There's always going to be effect of that belief. And
Hmm.
so it's I always say we have to be intentional about what we truly have to. If we feel like, say if I believe in God, yes, why do I believe in God? Where does that source come from? Because I can say I believe in God all day long, but if my faith, if my actions don't align to that, then I really don't believe in God necessarily. I believe in probably an idea of God, but I
Hmm.
necessarily don't have that relationship or that knowing or understanding. If I'm still, I'm still searching, I'm still
Right.
looking, I'm still
Or
trying
or maybe you do believe in God, but what
to.
you believe about God is a reflection of your actions. Like you
Mm,
said, they don't align, but
mhm,
they probably don't align with how you believe in God. So it looks like they don't align. No,
mhm.
maybe they do believe in God, but how they behave is a reflection of what they believe
What they believe, yeah,
about God.
what they believe about God, yes,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
I agree. I agree. If man, girl, the thing is, you've been dropping like so many gems. This conversation is so enlightening to me. I'm getting chills.
Oh.
Like, I'm just like, oh, I love these type of conversations because they need to
Hmm.
be had more, especially in
Hmm.
the Black community.
Hmm.
People, we need to be okay with seeing. I feel that our brothers and sisters need to be able to see more of us and the reflection of in this light so that they
Hmm.
can see that there's another way, another choice. Not saying that like, you can still be a Christian, you can still do whatever, but I just say you have to want to ask questions. Like
Hmm.
you said,
Hmm.
you don't want to disrespect God, but you're just asking God questions.
Right.
It's just
God,
really
God is
questions.
not afraid of your questions.
Mhm, mhm. Actually,
People are.
yes, God wants you to ask questions. God
Right.
wants to give you the answers. So it's the societies, people around us that don't want us to ask those questions because it's
Be,
uncomfortable and it's not
right.
knowing what's going to come from that.
Right.
But freedom lies on the other side of that to me.
That's
Freedom,
good. That's good. That's good.
liberation.
Yes, I
So
agree.
I enjoyed this conversation with you, Chandrika, so much. I wanted to just, before we go ahead and tell us, how can people follow you? How can people get your book? Where can they locate the book? And you have anything else lined up? What's going on with you?
The book is everywhere.
Mhm.
Amazon, just Google it. Lord, I don't want to die a Christian, my journal and journey to freedom. I am on all major platforms. You're welcome to send a friend request or follow if you have questions.
Mhm.
If you find that we are somewhat kin in our curiosity, reach out. Let me know where you are, where you saw me from. Otherwise, I think you're crazy and trolling. So let me know. Don't just
Yes,
say
ma'am.
hi, how you doing? I don't know who you are.
Yes, ma'am.
So please, let me know where you're from. And I don't mind engaging and asking questions. I do video chats and calls, apart from podcasts, to provide guidance from my own personal experience.
Mhm.
What do I have coming up? I'm part of a summit in the next few months called T4. I love that title. I'll say more once you follow. I'll post about it. What else is happening? I don't know, other things. There are other podcasts coming up.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
please, everyone that's listening, go grab a book. Go on Amazon. Go to Barnes and Nobles, anywhere that there's book listings. Get this book. After I get off this, I'm going to actually go ahead and purchase it myself on Audible,
Thank
on
you.
Kindle. I'm gonna go ahead
Yes.
because girl, this conversation got me
Now
lifted.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna miss out on. In the book, after
Mhm.
each journal entry, I include a page for you to journal with me.
Oh, so that's good. That's really
So
good.
it's not in the Kindle
Well,
version,
then I'm gonna have to
sweetie.
go get the. I'm gonna get the book. I'm gonna go ahead and
Yes.
get the book because I want to. I love journaling and I love self reflecting with myself and just
Yes.
plugging in. So I
So
will get the book
you get to add your
tomorrow.
questions to my journal. You get to add,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So what do you think? What do you believe? What are your questions is what I ask. What are you
Yes.
curious about?
Yes. I'm
Mhm.
excited. I'm getting it tomorrow. I'm going to the store. I'm picking up on
Amen.
my way. So I thank you so much once again. This has been amazing. Everyone, please follow Chandrika Fee. Please follow her. If there's anyone that's listening or watching this and you have questions or you have hesitations, you are just kind of in your own space of wanting to know more, you have found the right place. You're right where you need to be. This is a reason why you're listening to this. This is a reason why you're watching this. This is a reason why Chandrika's on this podcast right now. It's because it's probably a sign that you need to go get this book. It's probably a sign that you need to start questioning things and look deeper.
Or
So,
asking questions.
or asking questions. Asking
Yes.
questions is good because when you ask questions, you get answers. Okay,
Amen.
and you
Amen.
get led somewhere. So when you get led, then things happen.
Amen.
Life is formed. So I just say, look, plug in deep. This is not something to be afraid of. It's more so of finding the truth of who you are or who you aren't, like
Hmm.
Chandrika said.
Hmm.
So once again, thank you so much, Chandrika. Thank you to all my listeners. We will see you next week, and I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing day, evening, week, and be prosperous. Peace out.